Welcome to the Game Week 5 transfer targets and my team. Now, I'm going to combine the two videos into one because I didn't have time to make another video yesterday, unfortunately. But yeah, today let's talk some VFL. Last week, a good week for me again. I am now 15th. Okay, so, if anyone is ahead of me here, congratulations, you're doing pretty well. Now, I think in the game week 6, I can do better than some of the people above me. So I think I can finish in the top 10. I really do. I need another good week still. And there's some things, I have some decisions to make as we'll get into this video. But first, let's talk about transfer targets for everyone. And of course, by this point in the kind of season, because game week 6 is just EMEA, really you should be looking at getting rid of almost anyone for EMEA players, right? At this point, you should just be ditching America's Pacific players for EMEA players. Now, in terms of what teams you might keep for the last week of Americas and Pacific here, I think you should be looking to get rid of G2 players against C9 or C9 versus G2. Really, you could keep MIBR players for this last week against Fury. That makes sense. And Sen players versus 2G. I think those are the only two in Americas I would consider keeping, to be honest. So other than MIBR and Sen, you should be thinking at least about getting rid. And for Pacific, I think a similar sort of thing you would say, apart from Boom and RRQ players, you're probably looking at getting rid of everyone else. Maybe you could keep T1, that's okay. But pretty much everyone else you're looking at getting rid of. And for EMEA, let's talk about them in terms of what teams you want to pick up from EMEA. So in EMEA, I think the most obvious choices are Vitality, 100%, right? Some Vitality players, Apex and Navi. Yeah, they did lose to Fnatic and Heretics, but you're hoping that they can get back on the train. The next best choice I'd probably say is Team Liquid with Koi and Karmine Core as their last two games. Probably not as good as Vitality, but still pretty solid overall for Liquid. From there, you're probably looking at Team Heretics and Fnatic, right? So Fnatic, Giants, and Heretics Navi and Fnatic. Yeah, they do play each other in the last week, so that's not ideal, right? They are probably on as good as like a Vitality or Liquid, but obviously they're still very good teams, and you might want to consider the rest of Omega, for your Gentle Mates, for your Karmine Cores, for your even your Foots, right? Like, can I guarantee they're gonna win against Karmine Core and BBL? Like, no, I can't guarantee that. Foot are probably still a decent option, but there are probably better options at this point, and I think probably leading the way is Team Vitality. So with that said, let's take a look at my team. And for my team, I've got some interesting choices to make in terms of who I want to transfer now. Now, last week I said that my initial plan was to get rid of Cryo and bring in Kiko, right? And that seems like a perfectly fine plan, because Team Liquid play against Koi, right? So bringing in a Liquid player this week makes sense. 100%, no problem with that. But now I'm starting to doubt, because Trent plays against C9, and I've got double G2, and there is a part of me that thinks they might not even win that game. 100 Thieves play against Crew, but Cryo is frying, and I think Cryo has a better chance of playing well than Trent. So the two players I will transfer out at some point is Trent and Cryo, but Cryo was the highest scoring player last week. So it feels wrong to get rid of Cryo, because if they do beat Crew, I'm going to regret it, because even if both G2 and 100 Thieves win, Cryo will probably get more points than Trent does, right? Basically. So that has made me think I should keep Cryo for this week and instead get rid of Trent. Now, when I look at options to get rid of Trent, I've got 0.5 in the bank. Now, I have to keep in mind that I do still want to get rid of Cryo, and I can only pick controllers for Cryo. So the teams that I'm looking at were the teams that I mentioned, Vitality and Liquid, right? So from Vitality, and again, Trent is in a wildcard slot for me, so he can go to anyone, right? If I was going to go to Vitality, probably I'd be looking at Les or Sivo, right? Interesting choice between the two of them. Not exactly sure what the better choice is. I do have 0.5 in the bank. That would give me an extra 1. But I'm pretty sure that the controller that I would want is most likely going to be Kiko, right? And Kiko costs 12. Now, that's 0.5 more than Cryo is, so I need to have 0.5 at some point. But I could just go Trent to Kiko right now, but that wouldn't make sense because I still need another controller player. So my other choice would be Camo, right? To go for a duelist here, go for Camo from Liquid instead. And so basically, I could double down in Liquid on that last week, or I could go for Vitality. Right now, generally, if you're doubling down on players, you have to feel pretty confident that they're going to win. Right, obviously, because otherwise you're in a lot of trouble, as we found out a lot of us with Foot in this last week. So it's really, do I think that Team Liquid in their last kind of fixture here in game week 6 how likely are they to be able to beat Calming Core? Now, that isn't necessarily the easiest answer to predict right now, you know, but it also comes down to who do I think will do better, Vitality against Apex or Team Liquid versus Koi? And that too is a tough choice, right? So I could spread it out and say that Vitality trust that they're going to win 2 games and go for one of Les or Sivo, you know, and then get rid of Cryo for Kiko in the last week for Liquid and feel pretty good about it. But I'm not quite sure, and Camo did just fry as well. And I'm just feeling good about Team Liquid, I think, right now. And so I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go all in on Team Liquid, take a bit of a risk, right? So I could kind of spread my wealth around and kind of, you know, pick a Vitality player, pick a Liquid player, and kind of have that be my way. But Camo just fried in the last game. They've got Koi. They then play Calming Core. I think I'm gonna do it. He's on Duelist. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go Trent for Camo as my transfer. But then, of course, I have to choose who is on my bench. Now, there's 2 very obvious options. That is Molzy and Flyer here. Apex play Vitality, Flyer, Koi play Liquid, right? So these 2 definitely staying on the bench. The third choice is a bit more difficult because Westside, for Giants, who obviously got 13-0'd last week, they play Fnatic. Not feeling too good about that one. For NRG, they play Lev. Now, everyone else, I'm probably just having to keep in there, right? Even though Foot don't have the easiest game in the world against Calming Core, right? I'm just going to have to stick with it and go with them. Everyone else, I'm just going to have to stick with. Really, the choice is between Westside and Finesse. And Finesse, if you watched my stream, you'll know, didn't get all the kills that I was hoping for. But I still think that they have a better chance of beating Lev than Giants do against Fnatic. So I think that that is what I'm going to go for, as those are my players. Now, in terms of who do I want to be my IGL, though, that is another good choice. Kayak has Giants. That doesn't seem too bad. As I say, Foot, bit difficult this week with Calming Core, not thinking about them. You know, G2, Valen, you know, again, tough. Cryo, tough against Crew, not feeling great about that. So it's probably between Kayak and Camo as to who to be my IGL, and I think I'm probably actually going to go Camo and just hope that he can fry like he did in the last game. So those were my picks for my team. Let me know what you would have done with your IGL as well. Did I make the right choice of essentially saying I'm going to go double team Liquid against Calming Core? I feel like now that I've done it, maybe I've made a mistake, but let me know how you're doing in the comments down below as we near the end of the first ever split of the VFL.